Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Find a Way podcast with Dusty. Maybe you'll hear the crickets this morning as I go for my morning walk. It's actually quite peaceful. Hopefully you're doing well on your journey and you're continuing on, prioritizing the most important thing of this whole thing, which is your mental health. The mental side of this whole journey is what's most important. And just to prioritize that and put that first is what you've got to do. There's such a white knuckling when it comes to the diet and exercise. Like recovery from surgery, I'm white knuckling this thing. I'm like, okay, I got to hold on. It's been 7+ weeks and I'm still not cleared to work out. I've worked out 5 or 6 days a week for the past 7 years, and yet I can't work out. And I'm learning to be patient. I know time will pass and the day will come and the door will open, and I'm eagerly awaiting that. But I'm white knuckling a lot of this. I gotta hold on. I gotta hold on. And it's almost like the white knuckling that I'm doing mentally is so drastically different than what my body actually is doing. Like my body doesn't care if I'm patient. Right? Like I can't mentally say I'm going to be patient or, hey, I'm not going to be patient. Like my body isn't going to change. It's not going to all of a sudden consider my feelings on the matter and change how it's healing or heal better, heal worse. My body's going to heal in the time that it takes to heal. And I'm just going to have to adjust my perception on what's happening. Like I can't control, I can do everything right. I can put on the medication that I need to, the wraps, the compression. I can do everything that I need to, but it doesn't mean that it changes the course of healing, and which is uniquely me. I healed right away. I've had some message me that their gap or stitch abscess took 8 months. Mine took 12 weeks, or mine took 14. I've just gotten so many messages about how the different time periods that it takes for healing, that mine could take 14 weeks, could take 20. I could be out for 6 months. I can't change how long, but I can change my approach to how long, my mentality in how long, my mentality on what's happening. I can be frustrated and I can white knuckle, but it is going to take the time that it needs to take, and I'm just going to have to sit with it, deal with it. That's the weight loss journey. Take a look at that parallel. Your journey is going to take as long as it needs to take, and the problem is, we looked at somebody online and saw it done in 6 months. We set an expectation, a focus on that. It didn't get there. It didn't pan out the way we were thinking it was going to pan out. And we go through the endless cycle of starting and stopping because it didn't go the way that we wanted it to go. Like if my healing doesn't go the way I want it to go, what can I do? There's nothing. I gotta deal with it. I gotta adjust. There's nothing I can do to make this thing speed up. So I'm just gonna have to adjust myself to fit what my body needs. Same thing applies for your journey. You can't control how long it's gonna take, and that it didn't pan out the way you wanted it to, or it doesn't look like what everyone else's looks like. You can't control that. If you're doing everything that you need to do and you are proceeding the way you need to proceed and it's not working out, you've got to adjust. You need to change your mentality. You've got to make some adjustments so that if it continues, you're just going to continue and not have this just sense of discouragement that I'll tell you where the discouragement comes. And here's a prime example. You unexpectedly, I'll give you a real life scenario. You have an unexpected, hey, let's go meet with the aunt and uncle that's in town because our great grandma, who we typically rarely ever speak to across the country, we see her maybe once every 5 years, something like that. Hey, she's in town. Comes in town, we're at the house, enjoying time with the kids. Hey, you guys want to go to lunch? Hey, why not? We just had lunch, but it's a formal part of that kind of acquaintance meeting. Like, no, we just ate. So there's some, hey, we haven't seen you in a few years. It'd be nice to get together. So you go out to lunch. You just ate. You just had something, an hour prior. So you could technically, but if you were trying to reach a particular number for the day. So say if you've got a goal by the end of the day of hitting a particular number, and you know that if you time and number it out, if you go to lunch a second time, you're going to be over. And so, yes, it's good and it's convenient to go and spend some time and be beneficial for the family members to see you, but it's also going to be a little bit of a detriment because you're probably going to exceed your calories that day. Now, you go, and you're just coming off the discouragement of the scale hasn't moved in a few days. All of a sudden now you're out and about and you're wanting to enjoy some time with family. And that's where compromise, that's where settling in, that's where, well, nothing's really happened. I can be flexible and eat whatever I want. So that compromise settles in. That's where you're a little bit more, you tend to veer off of your focused, laser set, I've got to reach my goal, because it's not your typical routine, it's not your typical meal prep, it's an unplanned event where you're going someplace. You don't want to, if it's a place that's not typically on MyFitnessPal, it's like a little grill place that is just doesn't have any kind of tracking of, what's in this meal, what's in that. And that's where it's going to settle in. That's where it's going to be an easy access point for your journey to be deterred, because you're on the discouragement. You're not really prepared to go through the highs and lows. You're white-knuckling this journey and you're frustrated. And you want a little bit of a leniency. Well, there's an opportunity that happens right there. This is where my healing won't change, no matter how I think about it. But if I change how I think about it, however long it takes to heal, however long it takes to go through this process, I'm going to be fine because I've adjusted and pivoted to whatever's coming my way. So on your journey, it's almost like, is your foundation in the sand in the middle of the ocean so shallow that every wave that comes, you're moving here and there, left to right, you're being tossed to and fro? And if you're tossed so easily and you're grounded not too well, then you're going to easily fall for any particular situation that isn't ideal. I didn't meal prep for this. I didn't plan for this. I already ate. I'm going to be exceeding calories. There's a mentality that you can start getting and start adjusting to that says, okay, I'm not going to get my plan. I'm not going to get what I want here. But this is what I want as far as the goal. And so if you want that goal, then your mentality has to change to a very flexible, open arrangement that things aren't going to go the way you expect. You're going to have inadvertent ups and downs. Things are going to come up that you don't plan. There's going to be get-togethers and parties and friends coming over and different situations to where you're going to still have to be committed and stay committed in that process, even though it didn't go according to plan, even though you're frustrated, even though you're at the peak of nothing's working, the scale isn't moving, I'm doing everything right. In the midst of all that, you're still going to have the mentality, or if you're not there, you're going to have to change your mentality to being ready for anything that comes. And if you were to say, hey, you know what, I'm not there, well, that's where that practice of awareness comes in. Like, I am better at running because I'm aware of more factors that go into making me better or worse as a runner. I would run for a long time when I started running without any nutrition while I was out running. So I was getting through my runs, still pushing and making my time goals that I was trying, but I discovered very quickly when I properly focused on nutrition when it came to running that I could get to those same times, but a very easier way, or less, I didn't have to do as much to get that fast, because instead of me relying on deep down reserves or struggling to get there, all of a sudden I'm properly nourished and I'm getting to my goal time as a runner a lot easier because I'm aware. The more you're aware, the better equipped you'll be. So if you come to a point where you say, you know what, I'm not ready, I'm not in that headspace, I've been struggling so much and that my weight isn't coming off, the scale isn't moving, things aren't fitting, things aren't looking, things aren't happening the way I want them to happen, and you've noticed in the past that you've typically veered off and you've quit and you're at that same spot again on your journey, well, don't go in there blindly. Don't go with the blinders like horses do and not expose that weakness that you've got on your journey. No, be aware of it. Like, I get pretty frustrated if nothing on the scale moves for a couple weeks. And I tend to just kind of fall into, if you're aware of it, then you can better plan for it. And that's probably a good title of the episode, is the more you're aware, the better you can plan. The more you're aware of what your vices are. And I say vices and whatever compromises your success on your journey, being more aware of the vices in your journey is going to make you more aware on how to be successful. If you know what's going to hold you back or what's going to take you out, then you'll know what to adjust and how to adjust and what to adjust to be able to proceed to be successful. That awareness is really important. If I know, home security wise, that I've got a lot of cameras that are covering a lot of areas around the house, but then there's an area where something happens. Oh, I didn't see it. You better believe you're going to put a camera there after that happens because you want to see, or you want to prevent it happening again. Same thing applies to the weight loss, to the health journey. Hey, something deterred you. Okay, that's not the end all be all. You don't throw in the towel and say never again. No, you expose the weakness, you expose the vice, you make adjustments, you make tweaks, and you move forward. That's it. Your awareness will really lead to your better efficiency to be successful on the journey. The healing for my journey isn't and hasn't gone according to the plan that I've got. But just because it hasn't gone according to the plan that I've got doesn't mean it's not happening. It's just not happening on my time. And so you think about your journey, just because it's not happening on your time or when you want it to happen, doesn't mean it's not happening. It's just not happening the way your mentality is approaching it's supposed to happen. And you've got to throw that out the window, especially with so many variables. Well, I'm not losing as much weight as that person. Okay, well, that person has a majority of the weight in the legs. And so you're walking exactly the same as them, and yet they're losing differently. It's because they're carrying their weight in a different spot. Or maybe just walking is a little bit more calorie intense than someone that's top heavy. Or the other way around. Whatever it is, your body composition is completely different. To say, oh, I've got to match that, it's just not realistic. Mentally, you've got to be prepared that it isn't going to be how you want it. But you've got to keep doing it. Because what's the other end of it? Just going back to feeling the way you were feeling before, and then now probably being even heavier than you were before, because that's how the yo-yo diet works. You lose, you gain back, put on a little bit more because you went on that little extreme event, and then you go through it again. It's just going to end up worse and worse, where, speaking from personal experience, you're going to get to a point where you're over 500 pounds, and you're like, whoa, can't really do this much anymore of the back and forth, because I'm not going to be mobile, or going to be able to stand, or be able to move, or be able to live. Just won't even be possible. So the more you're aware, the more you can succeed. Maybe that's a new title. I think I forgot 2 minutes ago what I said the name of the title would be, and so maybe I'll change the episode title to that, or by the time I save this and post it, well, that's the word I'm looking for. I don't have a podcast studio. I don't have an official mic. I've got nothing structured here. This is the unstructured podcast success that we're learning to understand and know. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to this particular episode. I look forward to talking to you on the next one. A couple of reminders. I've got my book out. It's called Find a Way, My Journey of Losing 300 Pounds. It is available on Amazon if you want to check it out. Also still got my GoFundMe up for my loose skin surgery on my chest. Hoping to raise that so I can get my final surgery completed after my recovery is done. And then last but not least, if you haven't already gone over to my YouTube and subscribed, I'm trying to put a lot of videos out there, but I'm also putting my audio versions in video form on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, please do. Anywho, that's it. That's all. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.